We've got one of the top performers in all of Europe here. Leon Giddens isn't so great. Are you kidding me? You look great. How are you doing today, Leon?
I'm doing good, Parker. It's good to be here, and it's been a long time since I've heard you say that, so it feels good.
I feel like, yeah, the last time I would have casted you outside of LAN events would have been many, many moons ago. And well, I gotta say,
a year and a half ago, maybe.
Let's start off with your performance in Stage 1. Rogue finished atop the European standings, but then didn't have the greatest result at the Major. What do you think changed for your team in comparison to your play outside of the Major and then in the Major itself?
Compared from EUL to the Major, I think it mainly was just burnout, honestly. We kind of, like, half the team kind of expected a break to come along, but half the team didn't. So obviously, coming towards the end, people had two different mindsets of wanting to grind and like getting ready for a bit of a break. So we kind of had to clash and just keep pushing, which I think overall pushed people too far. Because, we've been scrimming 6 days a week, 2 times a day, with 1 day breaks most of the time. So when it came right towards the end of the hurdle, people just weren't mentally there and ready to play.
Now, you're a relatively new addition to that Rogue roster. This is a team that has always been near the top of the European standings, but they made 2 big roster changes. They bring in Karzeka, they bring in you. How was it transitioning to a new system, given that you'd been on Secret for so long?
I'd say it was a lot easier than I expected to switch to Rogue from Secret. Obviously, Secret was the only real team in Tier 1 Siege I actually played on. So it was kind of uncomfortable and kind of new for me, which was also kind of fun. But yeah, it was really easy. Obviously, I get along really well with Rips, Aces, and Corey already. And obviously, bringing Rousty in as well from Secret made it a lot easier than I thought it would be.
Did you have expectations that you would finish in the top of EUL, given the fact that Rogue was making the switches, that you were coming in or back into Tier 1 Rainbow Six after being with Secret down in Challenger League for so long?
I always expected the team to top the charts. Obviously, we have a lot of potential. Everyone in the roster is insanely skilled and talented, and everyone's really motivated as well. So coming into it, I think everyone was confident, and I was confident in us. But I think I think we did better than I anticipated. Obviously, the first game against G2 we lost, but after that, it was pretty much a clean sweep till the end.
What are your expectations for Stage 2, given how you performed in Stage 1?
I'm still expecting us to come at least top 2. I still think we're on top of the game compared to other teams, and I'm just expecting us to carry the momentum from EUL back into the next stage of it.
Now, Ubisoft and FACEIT have announced that the EU Major that was supposed to take place in the fall has been reverted to the same system of interregional majors that we saw earlier just last month, or 2 months ago technically. I guess last month, because it's almost October. Goodness gracious, where's the time gone?
Yeah.
How is your team going, let's say you make it to the Major, of course, how is your team going to ensure that you don't fall victim to that same burnout and end up bombing out of the Major for the second time?
I think we'll change up how we structure our schedules after the stage is done, and if we've qualified or not. We're going to take the right amount of time we need to take off and make sure everyone's refreshed before coming back into it and making sure our minds are set on the Major and the Major only.
As somebody who's been around Europe for a long time, were there any real surprises coming out of the region in terms of which teams did well, which teams didn't do well, and then individual performances too? Were there any players that you think fell off the map or exceeded the expectations that you had on them?
I expected Empire to do better. I feel like their season was rather underwhelming. I know, like, over the seasons they've filled down a little bit, but I feel like this season really hit them hard, especially with Joystick as well. I think he's one of the players who normally stands out quite a lot, but he was really quiet for the first stage. And I think hopefully they'll fix their issues for the next stage.
If I were to put you on the spot and say, looking at Stage 2, a lot of people considered Virtus Pro making it to the Major a bit of a fluke based on the way that the standings and some of the matches broke. If I were to say, outside of your team, what teams do you think could surprise us in Stage 2 and make it to the Major? If there are any, if you think it's going to be the same 4, that's okay. You don't need to do a hot take for the sake of a hot take.
No, I believe Na'Vi will definitely make top 4 this time, at least. I feel like with the roster changes they've made, I think that will push them to where they want to be. And I also believe, it's hard to say, but maybe, like, I'm gonna go over hot take here. I think Secret are gonna come top 4.
Really?
Yep. I think Packball and Chat have actually made them a lot better, and I think that they'll find where they need to be and top of some of the teams they should have beaten last half.
So you've got Na'Vi and Secret now in the top 4, and obviously Rogue's going to be there. So now you have to pick the 4th team.
It's got to be G2, I think.
G2?
It can't not be G2, yeah.
G2 is as consistent as they get. They've had some stumbles, but they're still good enough usually for the top of the region. Now, when you look at EU versus NA, this is a conversation that actually came up, speaking of G2, in their AMA that they did just a couple days ago, where they talked about EU being a better region than North America. Now, obviously, North America likes to tout their recent success. As an outside observer, but somebody who's a little biased towards Europe, how well-founded do you think the argument is that North America is the superior region right now, or do you agree with your fellow regional adversaries, G2, that EU is still dominant?
I think when or if the next line is, I think EU will still take it, the next one. I don't think Invite was a fluke. I do think SSG deserved to win it, but I just feel like EU's going to take it again. I
don't know when the next LAN will be, but I will say I miss them very much. And I miss casting Europe. And for me, even though I'm a North American caster, I still like to give credit where credit is due. And EU had a very bad 6 Invitational, but coming from North America, I think that we've had more bad events than we haven't. So it definitely is possible that EU can bounce back. Now, when you look at EUL, there's been some controversy around the fact that it's a series of best of ones, that you don't have a lot of downtime, etc. What are some areas of improvement that you could see as a player that you think would either make your job easier or make for better matches overall in the EUL?
I think to keep the league format and the same overall system mixed in with the schedule, I think the best thing really you could do at the moment is make it best of 1 overtime. The winner of overtime will get 2 points, but the loser gets 1 point. So then, even though you've pushed it so far, you've got past overtime, you're still able to get at least something from it.
Nothing. You don't have a problem with best of ones?
I do have a problem.
I have to put you on the spot because best of ones, man. That's the controversy right here.
Yeah, it's rough, but if you look at it from a realistic perspective, there's not much you can change really with the scheduling and format.
Yeah, you're sort of bound unless you want to have like 4 broadcast days with 10 teams. It's a conversation that we've been having for years when we used to do best of 3 split and then best of ones as well. This is a bit of a personal question about you. How did you stay motivated and so consistent? Now, you had many opportunities on Secret to possibly jump to another team, to possibly even move into streaming as your stream was growing exponentially, but you stuck with it. You've been rewarded by coming onto Rogue, and you haven't missed a beat. For somebody that doesn't compete at that top level, explain to them how you are able to stay motivated and be just as good as you are still, despite what I think many would consider some setbacks.
Yeah, there was some pretty hefty setbacks, I'd say. Motivation did definitely hit an all-time low at one point. But I feel like as long as you put in the hard work and you keep going, then everything will pay off. Knowing, obviously, how Secret went in the end, it didn't end out too well for us, but I already had some backups planned for when things did go bad from other teams. So I was kind of still motivated because no matter what happens, as long as I put up my A game, I know I'm still going to get benefits from whatever happens.
Obviously, I'm not asking you to divulge state secrets, but there were lots of rumors while you were on Secret that you were going to be picked up by X Pro League team at the time, and yet you never left. If you're comfortable sharing, was this a situation where you had opportunities but you felt a loyalty to Secret, or were the rumors incorrect and that you didn't actually have the opportunities that people said you did?
I only got 3 offers. No, I got 4 offers, and that was only after Invite 2020.
So relatively
nothing
recent.
Beforehand. Yeah, it was like at Invite, I'd speak to people from X team about like moving or transferring, but nothing before that.
Interesting. Well, you're certainly enacting your revenge on all those teams that didn't reach out to you and try to pick you up now. So you get the last laugh on that one.
Yeah.
The last question is going to be about something that is very near and dear to your heart. which is your country, the World Cup was announced. If you were the general manager of Team UK, and you could put yourself on the team, by the way, who else would you build around?
Well, obviously myself, I'd say Citizen as well. Probably, we're the only 2 UK people who made it into the major, so can't have us there. Not have us there, sorry. Kendrew and Doki probably. Obviously, they both played really well last half. And then after that, you've got to go with someone from tier 2 or tier 3 because there's no other players in tier 1 that you can pick. So I'd probably go for either Nathan or Packball.
Okay. Yeah, Nathan's made a name for himself now, and is I've noticed him a number of times in the T2 scene. So, and then for coaching staff, I'm assuming probably Meepy.
I can't not say Arku, Fred.
Yeah.
I feel like he wouldn't be happy if I didn't say him. So I gotta go with Arku and probably Meepy as well, just for old time's sake.
And do you think that team has what it takes to finish in the top 4? I'm not obviously going to say win the whole thing, but top 4? You think it has the potential?
Minimum top 4.
And you'll celebrate with beans on toast, as is tradition, I'm sure.
Exactly. They'll be on stage with us.
All the best in stage 2. I'm not going to be able to cast you, but I will be watching very keenly to see how you do.
Yeah, I can't wait to start the new EUL stage, and thank you for having me on today.
Thank you very much. Take care of yourself.